Hey, are you thinking about getting a divorce like right now, today? You're thinking about leaving your marriage. You're thinking about saying it's over, it's done. I can't do this anymore. You're ready to get out of your marriage. And you might have good reason. You might have good reason to leave, to say, I can't do this anymore. I'm bailing, I'm rolling out. But I wonder if you've investigated the price. Because there's a price when it comes to divorce. And yes, there's a price for a divorce attorney that runs about $15,000 to $20,000 on the low end, but there's some other costs associated. And in this video, I want to talk to you about the price and the cost of divorce, some things that you really should consider, some things that you should think about before you bail out. My name is Hairston. I am a relationships expert and an executive marriage coach. I work with people who are going through exactly what you're going through today. They come to the decision, to the point in their marriage, and they say, I just can't do this anymore. And I want to give you some advice. I want to give you some coaching, as if I were coaching a client, as if I were working with you today. I want to share with you exactly what I would share with them. So while you're here, if this video is helpful to you, if it gives you some insight that's useful, would you just say so in the comments? Would you like and would you subscribe? Let me know how this is helpful to you. Hey, if you don't get anything out of this and you think it's horrible, well, like and subscribe anyway. And please do absolutely leave a comment. So I work with people who go through what you're going through, contemplating divorce. I have to admit that I was at a place one time, I thought my wife might want to leave me. I think every marriage goes through this very difficult season where you don't think you can stick in the marriage, and there's good reason. Oftentimes when people get to this place, this point of looking for the exit from their marriage, it's because they've been in extraordinary pain for a long time. That's not uncommon, but it's also pretty common that people want to leave their marriages for unbelievable reasons, like silly stuff, like we're just not compatible anymore, or because of who doesn't do the dishes, or because of silly habits that get on your nerves, or just things come up and you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. This video is not for you. If you're taking it lightly and you just, you change spouses like you change your underwear, this is not your video. But if you're seriously thinking about divorce and you're contemplating it and it's weighing heavily on you, should I do this or should I not? This is going to be your video. Now, I got to give you this caveat before we get too far into this and let you know I am a marriage and relationships coach. I am not a divorce lawyer. I'm not even a divorce coach. I encourage people every time I can to stay in their marriage and to work through the challenging issues. But I also know that it comes to a point in some marriages where it is difficult to stay together because if there is ongoing adultery, if there is abuse, if there is addiction, that makes it really hard to have a successful, thriving, growing, even healing marriage relationship. And so I want you to know that you have my empathy, you have my care, you have my concern, because I don't want to see anybody go through that pain. But I know that divorce is real. Now, we've talked about the price of divorce, and we only touched on it just a bit, but there are some extraordinary costs that come with it as well. And if I could just give you some of the costs, I want to help you have some perspective while you're trying to sort this through. And my prayer for you is that you'll be open, that you'll hear, that you'll begin to see things with a little bit more clarity. But the cost of divorce is not the same as the price. Let me say that once more. The cost is never the same as the price. Some people go and they buy a car based on the price, but they're unclear about the cost of ownership. Did I say that too fast? The price of the car might be $35,000, but the cost of ownership will be significantly more than the quoted monthly payment, because there's the gas, there is the maintenance, there is insurance, there is cleaning. I hope you clean your cars. Are you following what I'm saying? The price and the cost are not always the same thing. And most times when people are contemplating divorce, they haven't thought about the costs. The costs to your children, the cost to your psyche, the cost to dividing up assets and losing equity in homes. I was doing some research on this subject a couple years ago, and I talked to a couple. A gentleman said, I've already spent $155,000. He was only 2 years into his proceedings, and by the time the assets were divided up, he said it's been $155,000. He wasn't even making that much money in his life, but it was draining him. The cost was extraordinary. Have you thought about the cost to your kids, if you have kids? Have you thought about the cost of the trauma, the unhealed trauma that, in fact, both spouses might inflict on themselves in the process and inflict on one another? Yeah. The cost of trauma, this traumatic memory of this relationship. Yeah, it's a lot. Some of you are like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm leaving. That's why I got to get out of here. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to give you some perspective to help you think more broadly about these issues. Let's talk more about the cost here, because I think it's important. The alimony, the impact on your ability to have healthy relationships again. Here's what I've discovered in working with couples for more than 30 years. Usually when people leave a relationship, they haven't done all the work that the relationship needed. They leave the relationship, but they haven't done the work that the relationship needed. And so they go to another relationship, the same person, with their same challenges, because it takes two to tango. And they go into another relationship, but they didn't fix them. They didn't fix them. They didn't deal with their contribution. They didn't deal with who they were and what they brought to the table. And so one of the extraordinary costs of divorce is that you don't have to face you. And this might be the case for your spouse as well. It usually is both of us, right? When you don't face you, you take the same pain, the same habits, the same dysfunctions, the same drama, the same trauma to another relationship. And that's why the divorce rate, as you get married more frequently, that rate increases from somewhere around 48% for the first divorce to 75, 80% for the second, and then higher above that. Here's another cost that most people don't think about, and that is the cost to generations with your name. Because if you have children, when your children go through divorce, and other children are not going to be just fine, usually, not necessarily, right? The cost to them is that they carry now this idea that marriage just doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, maybe I'm not going to get married. That's their choice. But if they get married, it'll become easier for them to divorce as they experienced in their home of origin. And so there are extraordinary costs that you should think about. You're like, well, what should I do? Because this marriage is literally driving me mad. It's killing me. It's hurting me. And again, if there's abuse, if there's emotional abuse, if there is physical abuse, if there is addiction, if there is adultery, cheating, infidelity, hey, I feel you. And I'm not saying stay in a place that's causing you this kind of abuse and pain. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is if there's any way to begin to look at this differently and to work on the marriage, then here's some things that you might want to consider doing. If you don't have any of those extreme circumstances, but you're just like, you're not feeling your spouse. In fact, let's talk about why you may not be feeling your spouse. Can we talk about that? Maybe you're not feeling your spouse because you feel neglected emotionally. I get that a lot from people. It's emotional neglect, no emotional connection. They feel abandoned by a spouse because the spouse works too much. They're always working. They're always, or chasing hobbies or chasing other friends and other relationships. And so they feel neglected. They feel abandoned. I don't know if that is your situation. Sometimes people want a divorce because they feel so unknown in their own marriage. Like, do you care about me? Do I matter to you? And that's painful. That's extraordinarily painful. Sometimes people want divorces because they feel like, listen, we have never been able to quite get along, to click, and I'm exhausted. Yeah, you could actually literally be exhausted from the marriage that you're in. So there are some real reasons why the pain happens and you feel the need to exit the relationship. I get that. Here's what I know also. I know that God hates divorce. God doesn't hate you. Let me say that again. God hates divorce. God does not hate you. In fact, God loves you. And I want to shout that from the mountaintop. God loves you. He cares about you. He cares about what you're going through, what you're dealing with. He does not hate you. He hates divorce. And the reason he hates divorce is because the reason he hates divorce is because he hates what divorce does to us. Because, if you get a divorce, you still carry the person you divorce into the rest of your life with you. That's certainly true if you have children, but there's an emotional bond, an emotional connection. There are emotional memories that will go with you for the rest of your journey. That's why divorce is so tough and so painful, because you can't really extricate yourself fully from a life that you've been bonded to, connected to, whether it's been 6 months or 60 years. It's really difficult. So what can you do? And I wanted to pose this to you in this video. What can you do? What should you be doing? What is it that might help you at least consider whether divorce is the best option for you? Well, let me give you a couple things. One, you gotta choose to work on you. You gotta work on you, because even if you have to get a divorce, you still want to be healthy. You still want to recover emotionally. You still want to be happy and whole. You gotta work on you. And I wonder if you've ever worked on you in the midst of the marriage. Sometimes the person we neglect the most is ourselves. And we forget to love us. And we're supposed to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And sometimes we can't love our neighbor because we don't love ourselves. I've seen so many marriages where men in particular who have low self-esteem, they can't really love their wives. They're insecure. They're falling to pieces on the inside. And so they come off angry. They come off critical. They come off harsh because they don't really love themselves. Hey, work on you. That's the first thing that I would really encourage you to do. Work on you. Here's the second part that I want to encourage you to do, and that is own your contribution to the condition of the marriage. Own your contribution. What have you contributed that's made this a difficult environment in which to exist, a difficult relationship in which to thrive? Did you contribute something? Come on, be honest now. Be very honest. Listen, I work with top performing athletes. And one of the things I have seen is that people are not always honest about their contribution. And so I've had people who say, no, I've never done that. Never in a million years would I ever do that. I've never done that in my life. Only for it to become clear that they actually have. You see, you can't grow a marriage and you can't build a great environment when there's a thread of dishonesty running through the fabric of the relationship. Because even if you can't see where the lie is, you can feel the disingenuousness. You can't cover a lie. You have to own a lie. You can't say I didn't do something to contribute to this. You have to own it. And here's the good thing about owning it. When you own it, you can be forgiven for it and you can move forward. So you got to own your contribution to it. So often I find people don't own their contribution because they think it's only always their spouse who's the bad one, who's the wrong one, who's the one who's hurting them. And sometimes people play the victim. Before you leave your marriage, make sure you're not playing that role. I would say this to either of you. I wish both of you were sitting here listening to this video. Don't play the victim because it's not always just one person. So often, very often, but not all the time, not 100%, we all contribute something that can cause pain and that makes the environment of our marriage difficult for the other person. All right, so work on yourself, own your contribution. Can I give you this really important one? Like before you leave your marriage, try God. Did I just say try God? Yes, try God. Have you tried God in your relationship yet? In your marriage? Have you made a priority to let Him lead you, help you both, right? Try God in your relationship. Now, I've been married for over 33 years. I can tell you this, I came with a lot of baggage. My wife, God bless her. If it wasn't for God in this marriage of 33 plus years to my wife, Sherry, whoo, she's a praying woman, y'all. I'm telling you, God has been our help. I come from a string of divorces in my family line. And the only reason we have broken that string is because of God's help. We've learned to pray for each other, pray together. Go to church. Do you go to church? Do you go to synagogue? Go seek God. Ask Him for help. He wants to help you. He hates divorce, but He doesn't hate you. He loves you. And He wants to help you because He loves the beauty of marriage. I hope that's helpful to you. I hope that's making sense to you, right? That's my advice to you. Try God. Let God work on your life. Let Him work in your life. It will help you. Listen, even if it doesn't help the marriage, it won't do you any harm. That's what I would tell you. That'd be my advice. Try God. Maybe one other thing you should do. Did I say choose to get better? Yeah, choose to get better. Choose to get better. It's kind of like, take care of yourself. But yeah, I wanted to say it again. Choose to get better. Choose that I'm not going to be overcome. I'm not going to stay where I was emotionally. If I'm going through this tough water, before I jump out of the boat, let me get better on the inside. Let me grow emotionally. Let me remove blind spots from my life. Who's helping you, by the way? Who's challenging you? Who's helping you to see where you can get better, where you can grow, where you can be stronger, where you can be healthier? Hey, I'm Hairston, and I'm so glad you were here with me. Hey, I got a free resource for you before you go. Would you make sure, look in the description and click on the link that says the Happy Marriage Workshop. It will help you get better in your marriage. Some powerful principles to help you see some things that you could do to get much better in the marriage relationship. Hey, I'm rooting for you. I'm praying for you. I'm hoping that your marriage gets better. Get the resources that you need. Make sure that you check out the Happy Marriage Workshop and other resources that I think will help you actually be able to turn it around. It is absolutely possible. Don't give up too soon. There's a price and there's a cost, and the cost can be extraordinary. And so give it your best. Give it your absolute best. All right, I'll see you in the next video.